Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to my global audience. Walter Cotton back at you with another installment of my Patriot Report. And as you know, we are hyper focused on the War or Peace Report, and we are tracking against a new piece of legislation, a bill that was introduced on February 15th that is designed to level the playing field in contracting for him and her who bore the battle. I'll use this Patriot Report to provide you with an update and an additional call to action. All that and more on this installment of my Patriot Report. Hey, thanks for sticking with me through that transition. As you know, we had a bipartisan effort to introduce a bill in Congress that will finally create a more level playing field for veterans who have borne the battle in the area of federal contracting. And for those of you who are not familiar with what I'm talking about and are not able to smell what I'm cooking, allow me to share my screen so that I can acquaint you to the bill HR 710 I'm sorry, HR 7401, which is the bill that was introduced, as I said, on February 15th, that is hyper focused on ensuring that non-service disabled veterans have a more fuller opportunity to participate in the spend that is led by the federal government. And I'm bringing up this artifact on the screen right now because I'm asking you, the listener, to either participate yourself or encourage your friend to participate in an action that we have underway to expedite the passage of this bill into a law. So, as of today's date, which is March 4th, the bill's text has now been introduced, and you can go and review this expectation of that particular law at your leisure at a very high level. Basically, what it does is it provides a prioritization of small business contracting opportunities within the Department of Defense, starting with the service disabled veteran, moving to the veteran, and then ultimately landing on the general small business. Ostensibly emulating the position that's enjoyed by the veteran community within the Veterans Administration under the Vets First Law or Public Law 109461. So I encourage you to go out and read this legislation, or should I say, proposed legislation at your leisure. What I truly want to hyper focus your attention on, though, which is the area that we can influence and affect, is the number of current sponsors for the bill. Currently, we have two sponsors for the bill. And my call to action for you, or my request from you, is that, or for you, is that you join us in a initiative that is going to compel or cause your congressional representative to become a co-sponsor of this particular legislation. This is how the game is played, folks. The more sponsors and co-sponsors and interested parties we get associated with this bill, the quicker it's going to make its way down to the floor for a vote or be included in another fast moving piece of legislation that ultimately will ensure that this bill becomes law by the end of this fiscal year. In order to facilitate that effort, and I shared this with you during our last conversation on this subject, we've created this particular website, the URL of which is passing across the screen. And you can come to this particular URL and register for a lunch and learn where we're edifying people or sharing information on what it is we are accomplishing through this particular goal, through this particular mission initiative. But you can also use this particular site to gain a greater understanding of the movement, who the players are that are currently supporting this particular initiative. You can learn some background information about Mr. Elmore and why he's coming out of his second retirement to try to make sure that this particular error is corrected. There is video information out here, and I'm not going to let the volume on this play, but there's video information out here that you can, expand at your leisure in order to get a better understanding of why Mr. Elmore is doing what he's doing the way he's doing it. There's background information on myself, along with some video artifacts that equally let you better understand what my dog is in this particular fight. But the most important thing that we have within this site is a tailored approach that you can use toward communicating your support of this effort, your support of this initiative to your congressman. And that's in the form of this letter, which is a form letter expressing your support for a whole of government contracting program for veteran-owned small businesses. And understand, well, most of you already do, if you're my audience, know that we have a whole of government contracting program for our disabled veterans. We're trying to level the playing field and include the other members of our fraternities that are in BDUs and boots and transitioning into veterans, but didn't unfortunately experienced some type of a modality that left them injured. So basically, what we're doing with this effort is we're including the broader veteran community in a a contracting program that allows them to participate in supporting the needs of these United States. And for those of you who are not paying attention to our challenge in the area of the national security industrial base, and specifically the defense industrial base, we're going through a process right now of recognizing that our stockpiles have been diminished given the number of theater conflicts that we're seeing across the globe. And our government is tilting at initiatives that will replenish, revitalize those stockpiles, whether it be through reshoring manufacturing efforts that the government will become a co-partner, a co-member of a business that provides that a critical resource, that critical set of assets, or at a minimum, produce a guarantee for the industry or the company that decides to take on the challenge of reshoring the manufacturing in an area. And to say that in a succinct way, because I know it even sounded wordy while it was coming out of my mouth, what the government does for companies that take on the yeoman challenge of supporting our need to revitalize a particular area is the government provides them a guarantee that 100% of the inventory that they develop will be purchased, period. The government guarantees that. So this is a very rich time for our veterans and our disabled veterans to be marshaling the forces so that we can support one of the most important aspects that we need to have in place to ensure the security of these United States, and that's a robust and vibrant economy. And that's what the reshoring of our industrial base, reshoring of our manufacturing assets, and the revitalization of our porous supply chains do for the security of these United States. The vision that I have, at least the proposition that I'm delivering to the market, is that our veterans, him and her who bore the battle, should be given the first bite at any apple that is focused on revitalizing our defense industrial base. And that's where this legislation, this bill that creates a numeric goal contracting program for non-disabled veterans, for veterans at large, goes a long way towards making sure that we're fielding the best available products and services for the warfighters, for him and her who is currently supporting democracy across the globe, who is supporting the way of life of these United States of America. And don't get me wrong, folks, I'm not actually casting any disparaging words against non-veteran companies that are supplying products and services to the United States of America. What I'm doing is I'm championing the fact that veterans have a greater sense of esprit de corps. They have a greater sense of patriotism and important understanding, or understand more clearly the importance of the mission when we are delivering products and services that are going into theater to support the needs of the warfighter, that are supporting the mission of the battle. Ergo, I am encouraging all veterans that are within the sound of my voice to get out of the mustard so you can catch up. Make sure that we get this whole of government contracting solution in place for you so that you can more fully participate in the dollars. And we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars that are let on an annual basis for veterans. Well, that's the update, folks. The bill has been introduced. Congress appears to support the idea that non-service disabled veterans should actually be given an opportunity to participate more fully in the dollars that are spent, the taxpayers' dollars that are spent to support the needs of these United States, or should I say, the needs of this government. But this is not going to happen in a vacuum. It's not going to happen organically with all of the other distractions that our politicians are experiencing. And that's why we have this secondary initiative that we're asking you to help us with. We need you to take that letter. Let me go back and show you that one more time before I bring this thing to a close. We need you to take this letter that you can simply download and paint by the numbers or fill in the blank and send this letter to your senator, send this to your House of Representative member or members, and let them know in a full and deep-throated voice that you support the creation of a numeric goal contracting program for veterans. You've got people like myself and Mr. Elmore and again a small cadre of brothers that are working behind the scenes to make sure that the playing field is level and that the opportunity is available. But we can't do it without you. We can't motivate Congress at large to make a sweeping, expedited move like the one that we're asking them to without you getting involved. And so I am asking every veteran, every friend of the veteran community, and every patriot that's within the sound of my voice to surf on out to the website that you see listed on the URL that's moving across the screen, rather. Download that letter and send it to your congressman and ask him or her, or send it to your senator and ask him or her to support the expeditious passage of HR 7401. That's all I got for this quick hitter installment of my Patriot Report. I'm going to be tracking this legislation, bring you up to speed on the new sponsors that come on board because of your good effort. And we'll have the big celebration party after the bill is signed into law. Until next time, that's about all I have for today. My name is Walter Cotton, and I'm out.
Back when Eisenhower was the president, golf courses is where most of his time was spent.